Financial markets were mixed on Tuesday after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's dovish comments sent Wall Street higher. Fed Chair Powell said on Monday that the central bank will not wait for inflation to fall to 2% to cut interest rates, and that inflation readings over the second quarter added somewhat to confidence that the pace of price increases is on track to returning to the Fed's target. That sent down the dollar to a 5-week low against a basket of currencies. Meanwhile, the rising prospect of Donald Trump returning to the White House sent cryptocurrencies surging, with Bitcoin advancing towards $65,000 as Trump announced pro-crypto JD Vance as his running mate on Monday. Let's get more on this now with Tim Waterer in Sydney. He's Chief Market Analyst at KCM Trade. Great to have you with us, Tim. Now, investors seem to have had a boost of confidence since the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. What would a second Trump presidency look like?
Good to be with you. Yeah, that's right. Obviously, it was a volatile or potentially volatile event we saw on the weekend, but markets have taken it in their stride so far, looking at the gains we saw in the US overnight. So I think what markets are assessing are the pros and cons of a potential second Trump term. Now, the pros would potentially include lower taxes and lower regulations. Now, they're two things that Wall Street generally likes. So I think that's why we're seeing US markets progressing higher. But there is a concern about the potential uptick in tensions with trading partners of the US, namely China, for example. We saw what happened first time round, where even a tweet, for example, or a message from the president could really send markets into a spin. So I think that's still at the back of traders' minds, and that's why we're seeing, I guess, some hesitancy around some other regions at the moment, based on what the polls are showing heading into November.
That's right. Chinese stocks were mainly down on Tuesday. Do investors expect an even harsher stance on China this time round?
It's a good question. The short answer is we have to wait and see. I think we could see a watered down version of what we saw first time around, though. The reason being the markets and the political environment right now is much more sensitive to inflation than what it was between 2016 and 2020. And if whoever is president gets too aggressive on tariffs, that can lead to higher inflation levels. So I think whoever the president is, come November, they'll need to tread a little bit more carefully. But I think the prospect of a ratcheting up of tensions on that trade front is causing some nerves around some markets, as you say, around China at the moment. So it is, a little bit of an unknown at the moment. And so that's what something traders will have to be mindful of, I guess, between now and November, is that, there could be some volatility, as tends to happen during an election year.
Right, and Fed Chair Powell's comments pushed up Wall Street on Monday night. How soon can we expect that rate cut?
Yes, the comments by the Fed chairman last night and also last week seems to be setting the table for a loosening of policy in coming months, potentially. So right now, if we look at the futures markets, that's pointing towards September. That's almost fully priced in right now for the month when we could see a potential rate cut from the Federal Reserve. So that's lifting markets at the moment. Is this, potential we are moving closer to a lower interest rate environment. The other thing sending markets up overnight, we're obviously in Q2 earnings season at the moment in the US. So we saw some good reports from the likes of Goldman Sachs and other big banks reporting in coming days. So I think, how the corporate sector does during this Q2 reporting season, I think that'll also dictate how markets fare in coming months, as well as the election, as well as how CPI pans out between now and potentially September, when the Fed could move.
All right, we will have to wait and see. Tim Waterer there in Sydney.